The calendar control was covered briefly in Session 1 of the Essential Skills course, but the calendar control has some more advanced features that you'll use in this lesson. To begin, open the Market Trader project from your Sample Files folder. And open Market Data by Date.aspx in Design View. This page will be used to display market quotes between two dates. Add a calendar control now to the table cell beneath Start Date. Set the ID property of the new calendar to Calendar Start Date. Now add another calendar control to the table cell beneath Finish Date. And set its ID property to Calendar Finish Date. Note that you can use the Auto Format command from the Quick Tasks menu to quickly apply attractive formats to calendar controls. This is covered in Session 1 of the Essential Skills course in this series. You can also format a calendar control manually by changing its properties. For example, you can change the way that the selected date is highlighted by changing the Selected Day Style property. Another useful property of the calendar control is the Selection Mode property. In Day Mode, the user can only select a single date, but Day-Week-Month mode makes selectors appear for weeks and months. One last useful property is the First Day of Week property, which allows you to change which day the calendar control uses as the first day of the week. Open the code behind file of Market Data by Date now, and add the following code to the button Get Data click event handler. Using data access data equals new data access grid view data dot data source equals data dot get market quotes by date calendar start date dot selected date calendar finish date dot selected date grid view data dot data bind. The selected date property contains the calendar control's currently selected date. Note that if an error occurs when you enter this code, it is most likely because your data access class does not implement the iDisposable interface. The iDisposable interface was added to this class in Lesson 5.6. If you encounter this problem, either review Lesson 5.6 or download the sample files for this lesson. Next, add the following code to the Page Load event handler to set the default dates of the two calendar controls. If not page.isPostback calendar start date dot selected date equals new date time 2011 12/1 calendar finish date dot selected date equals new date time 2011 12/31. This code sets the selected date properties of the calendar start date and calendar finish date controls to the 1st of December 2011 and the 31st of December 2011. Note that the page.isPostback property is used to ensure that this code runs only once and does not overwrite any values selected by the user. This is needed because the calendar control causes a postback whenever the user changes the date. Now test your code by viewing Market Data by Date in your web browser. Although the page load event handler set their selected date properties to December 2011, the calendar controls are still showing the current month. This is because you also need to set their visible date properties. Close your web browser now. Now add the following code to the page load event handler to set the visible date properties of the calendar controls. Calendar start date dot visible date equals calendar start date dot selected date. Calendar finish date dot visible date equals calendar finish date dot selected date. Now view the page in your browser again, and this time the selected dates are displayed correctly. Close your web browser now, and close Visual Studio. You've now completed Lesson 7.2. Use the calendar control.